Working as an accompanier in the region of the Ixcan, I was hired to stay on as a staff person, and I was originally the accompaniment coordinator for Nizgwa in the coalition Akuguate, which is our name here on the ground. And I continued as a regional coordinator for the Ixcan, coordinator of the accompaniers, and now I'm still in the Guatemala City office, but I have the honor of working with all the folks in the U.S. network, folks like PAG and other sponsoring communities. And some people are accompanied because of their fight for justice for crimes of the past, and others, sometimes the same communities, are requesting accompaniment because of the threat of mega projects, natural resource extraction, things like mining, mega dams, etc. And so many of the same communities who suffered genocide during the internal armed conflict are today facing another displacement. Accompaniment is very much providing that microphone or that loudspeaker for the people that we work with. So one of the first lines of contact is the accompaniers, who talk to them periodically, who go and visit them, who see what the reality that they're living in at the moment. And so we're going to the community of Chichupac. 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 C-H-I-C-H-U-P-A-C. Chichupac, and we're coming from the municipality of Rabinal, which is so far about, 40 minutes down the mountain? And so we're going up to try to find, to meet with some folks who've received accompaniment for years in that community. And true to the nature of accompanying, we have had to be flexible, and so we're going to see what we find when we get there in terms of whether people are there for a formal meeting or if we're going to go visit folks in their houses. But basically they know that we're coming to talk to them about accompaniment.
Como una forma de política, aunque es una iniciativa de las víctimas. Y lo otro es que el programa, cuando llegó aquí al Rabinal,
si cuando comentan, si pueden decir otra vez sus nombres, piden ellos. I said they just want to know, like, what are the benefits, what is accompaniment like, what is it like to be accompanied, and please say their name again.
Hello.
Entonces, cualquiera que quiera empezar.
Yo cuando pasó la guerra, pues yo no vi, soy chiquita, tengo como solo.
So when I was when the war happened, I was 3 years old, so I didn't see with my own eyes the war as it happened. I grew up without my mother and father.
Somos una comunidad que sí se sufrió mucho sobre el conflicto armado que estuvo acá.
So thankfully, there are people who support our country, who support our community, who support our people, because we are a community that suffered greatly during the internal armed conflict, and so for us it's good to receive people, international people in our community.
Pues para nosotros, pues, que el acompañante sí nos ha beneficiado.
So for us, accompaniment has benefited us because it backs us up as a community, and we are able to talk about what happened during the internal armed conflict. Because of the internal armed conflict, I should say, there are still people who are our enemies, and so international accompaniment supports us in this regard.
Que acá pues no está cubriendo todas las familias de la comunidad que visiten, sino que visitan como a 15 o a 20 personas por cada comunidad, pero con esas personas.
So the accompaniers, as Eliodoro also already mentioned, not every single family in the community receives a visit. It's probably about 15 to 20 families in the community that get a visit, but the entire community sees this. They see that the accompaniers are coming, and the information that we receive, we share with the community in general.
Nos sentimos más mejor porque ahorita ya estamos trabajando bien, sembrando.
So now he said we aren't suffering as much the problem of the internal armed conflict. We're doing a little bit better. We're working well. We're cultivating. We're cultivating our corn, our beans, our coffee. Coffee is actually our most advanced crop that we cultivate, which is consumed by people there in the United States and Europe.
A pasear en Europa, en Dinamarca y en Holanda el 2008.
And so in our community, our coffee project, we now have an association of coffee producers. We've received institutional support for that project.
A nuestro pueblo. Ese es un beneficio que nos trae porque hasta la ley, pues, aquí en Rabinal, pues, ellos saben de que son gentes que vienen de otro país.
So accompaniment is very important in terms of our own security. People know that there are people from other countries that are accompanying us, and we feel security in our community, in our town, and including as it regards the law in Rabinal, because people see, they know how it functions, they know that they're coming to see us, they know that they are being kept informed, and if the law isn't respected in the region, they know that there are international people who can denounce it, who can inform others at the international level. On the 8th of January, so we came here to hear, to come and listen to what was happening in the meeting. But it wasn't a meeting; it was a massacre that we were invited to witness, and that we ended up coming to see. The military authorities had already had the intention of killing the 32 people that they ended up killing. Their names are outside, and the massacre happened here in this clinic is where it happened.
En cuanto a la importancia, en cuanto a la valoración, pero todo nace de la historia.
So what he was commenting on is that the international accompaniment, one of the things that they benefit from is that they feel safe. So the people feel safer with international accompaniment, and they know that what happened in the war couldn't happen as easily today because of the presence of international accompaniers. And so that's one of the reasons why they're so earnest about stating that they don't want to lose accompaniment. That's why they're...
Con ustedes, y solo así pues se puede hacer esa presión al gobierno como ya lo manifestaba en nombre de ellos. Solamente.
And so this is my final commentary. I wanted to close and say that in the name of all of the people from the community here today, in name of the organization, and to ask you as international organizations, ask you to keep the pressure on our government to demand that the damage done during the war be repaired, that reparations happen for our communities. And then, because it is the government that is responsible for what happened during the war. And in the same vein, we also, and regarding accompaniment, I say to you, Bridget, and to all of you together, ask that you influence the international accompaniment, that we continue to receive international accompaniment, because it's only through the accompaniers that we can exert pressure. The people from the communities through the accompaniers then through you. This is the way we are able to coordinate this type of pressure. And that's his final comment. So.
Family name was Sikh. There's one fellow in here. His name is
Initial SC and SIC.
Why is the initial after what happened?
My name is Anton. I'm from Sweden, and I'm here working as accompaniment, international accompaniment, and it's in a program for human rights. It's like our work is mostly visiting the people that were affected by the genocide in the 70s and 80s, and they got their families killed, or persons from the families were killed, and now they're struggling to achieve justice. They've been threatened, these people, and that's why we're visiting them to give them our moral support and to give them information about what's happening in the processes. And also one important part of the work is to, when we return to our countries, we will tell their stories and inform about Guatemala and the situation here for people.
Y donde sea que sale, entonces esa persona siempre tiene esa mentalidad de que hay alguien que está velando en beneficio de ellos.
So the people that are the survivors, with accompaniment, they feel more accompanied. They feel better next to their neighbors who, for example, might be responsible for the massacre that they suffered. And these people, they never stop their intimidations, they're frightening, they're threatening of the people, so of the survivors of the conflict. So this is a benefit. We feel better speaking with international accompaniment. Here in Guatemala, when one suffers violence from the state, sometimes the family of survivors is mocked or made fun of.
Y hablar lo que se necesita en alguna investigación o alguna ampliación de testimonio.
And so another benefit that accompaniment gives us is that if we need to mobilize, for example, if we need to work on a report, file a denouncement officially in the court, if we need to broaden the testimony that we've given, if the ACOs are with us, one feels more calm, more comfortable, and able to speak.
The threats that folks are feeling are not around participation in legal cases or around holding exhumations or things like that. They're the threats that people feel to their existence and to the livelihood of their communities are coming from mega development projects that are put into place without any consultation of local communities. Evolve the accompaniment from working solely with survivors, groups, and witnesses in the genocide cases to also working with organizations that are organizing to defend their communities against mega projects like the Shalala Dam, which would have the potential to flood dozens of indigenous communities in the Ishkan and surrounding.
So right now we're in Central Park, and right in front of the presidential palace. We're in Zone 0. And so this is what some people call the plaza of complaints, that our rights have been violated, and they violated almost every right that we have while being here.
Sospechosa, pero sí se detienen al ver que estamos siendo acompañados por gente internacional.
So the accompaniment that we receive through Acahuate is very important, because the place that we are staying is very dangerous, as much so because of the authorities who come to intimidate us. We are here, all of us take turns to be here. There's 3 or 4 people who are staying with us at a time, and often men are sent to see what ways that we can be intimidated. So when they see that we are being accompanied by international accompaniers, the intimidations go down. There might always be an unmarked car nearby or suspicious people around, but we can see that the aggressions are lowered when we have international accompaniers here.
Porque de diferentes países, al ver la página incluso de internet, le mandan cartas al gobierno donde le dicen qué pasó con.
So thanks to international accompaniment, another benefit that we've received is, for example, during the violent eviction last year in December, the accompaniers were present, and so despite the international presence, we were still assaulted, but nonetheless we were given, we received a certain degree of attention and relevance to what happened to us. So now there's a page on the internet in which the accompaniers who were present and who witnessed the attack describe what they saw, and different countries send letters to the government about that day in December when we were attacked, which was on the Day of Human Rights, International Human Rights Day.
Estamos muy contentos con el acompañamiento que ustedes nos están dando solamente.
So we will always be in need of the international accompaniment that you provide until this solution is solved. We are living in a country that has a tremendous level of corruption, both at the judicial and the executive branches. This is what we are living. The families of this country that own the majority of this country, they also own the law, and it's us that have to pay the price. So it's not just us, it's the majority of the population that has to pay this price. So we are in need of just laws that protect the population. So before all other things, we always want to thank and appreciate the international accompaniment that you're providing for us. And we hope that we continue to receive international accompaniment, and we're very happy with the international accompaniment that we've been receiving. So thank you. Gracias.
What difference do you see that is made by having international accompaniers? I see the part about relating to the community and breaking down the isolation, but how do you see that affecting what happens within this judicial system or the legal system of Guatemala?
One of the largest aspects of our accompaniment is the accompaniment of the group of survivors and witnesses in the national and international genocide cases, so the members of the Association for Justice and Reconciliation. So these are people who since 2000, 2001 have filed genocide cases in the national and recently in the international courts, the Spanish courts, looking to bring to justice the high military commands who were responsible, who were the intellectual authors of the genocide committed against the Maya people in the internal armed conflict. You know, there is the long haul in terms of that fight. We've had the honor of accompanying these people through the course of these cases, and I think that they are some of the primary human rights defenders that have moved this forward in the national debate. I mean, there is documentation of even the word genocide and how much it's appeared in the press. That has expanded exponentially since they began these cases, and when they were, first naming what had happened in a culture of silence and a culture of denial of what had happened. And so being with them in this process and accompanying literally means amplifying that voice in home countries, making that making their struggle known in the international arena. Sometimes people say voice for the voiceless, and that they have their own voice and they are very clear in their message, and so it's not about giving voice to the voiceless, it's about amplifying their voice in the international arena, really.